Yeah, I know people are going to look at me funny, but so what? From Newark Airport, hello everybody. A very quick edition on the YouTube scan with your DJ Crazy Tom. Yes, the Crazy Tom show has gone video for a couple of minutes, but this is more of a very quick bonus focus as I give you my official prediction for Super Bowl 48, which will be up the road about 8 miles of MetLife Stadium come this Sunday. And boy, I'll tell you what, this is a Super Bowl which I cannot get a good grasp on. It's been a very long time since we have had a big game with one of those. I could go either way with this, but unfortunately, somebody has to win this game. The Denver Broncos appearing in their 6th Super Bowl, playing the Seattle Seahawks in their 2nd Super Bowl appearance. Of course, their last one was when they got screwed 8 years ago by the hands of the NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And now as I'm standing outside this, shall we say, portable beer garden, which I'm not going to enter because, after all, I'm a limo driver. But while I have a couple minutes, I'll go ahead and give you my take on Super Bowl 48. Now, both teams were 13-3 during the regular season. And you know something? Looking at the way their offenses and defenses were, this is guaranteed to be a heck of a game. Denver, of course, the #1 offense this year versus Seattle, which overall had the #1 defense in the NFL. But sometimes stats can be very easily misleading. A couple things to look forward in this game. First of all, Denver's magic number should be 21. In every game this year, the Broncos have scored 20 or more points. The least points they scored this year was against San Diego in their second meeting back in December when Denver lost that game 27-20. There was no Wes Welker in that contest, plus it was a revenge game for San Diego. If Seattle is to win this game, I think they need to hold Denver under 20 points. And that is going to be a big challenge for this #1 defense and basically your football quarterback surgeon in Peyton Manning. I also think that Marshawn Lynch needs to have a beast mode game. If he can run for over 150 yards, Seattle, I think, will have a great chance. But if Marshawn doesn't do the job, then Russell Wilson and his 5'11 frame, he's going to have to do that by himself. And that's going to be a little bit of a tall order against a pretty charged up Denver defense. I'm not saying Denver's defense is as good as Seattle's, but they are in some ways pretty comparable. And I think another thing here is Seattle has to play a mistake-free game. They cannot afford to, on the first play of the game, fumble the football like Russell Wilson did against the 49ers, have the Niners recover, and then have that converted into points. They cannot do that at all when it comes to the game on Sunday. And think about this. Seattle's secondary is probably one of the best secondaries that people have talked about in a while, and they've compared that secondary group to the ones of the Steelers in the 1970s when they had that Super Bowl run where they won 4 times in 6 years. But the big problem with Seattle, their front seven, they seem to do a pretty good job, but Denver is a good running team, and they will rotate their backs, and I think the one guy is Bell and the other is Noshawn Moreno, who of course is from Middletown, New Jersey. So Peyton Manning knows that Seattle is such a good secondary, so he may go short-range pass, maybe a medium pass once in a while, but I wouldn't expect Manning to take some deep shots down the field. So look for Denver to kind of run the ball a little bit more than you might expect. I mean, after all, Moreno had a great game in the divisional playoff round against San Diego just a couple of weeks ago. Another big factor, Denver's offensive line. Peyton Manning has not been sacked once this postseason, which tells you how good Denver's offensive line is. Now, when you take the two teams, both teams are 4-1 against common opponents this year. Both teams have defeated Houston, Jacksonville, and Tennessee, and ironically enough, both teams beat the Giants at MetLife Stadium early this year. The Broncos did in round 2, 41-23, and Seattle did in December, shutting the Giants out 23-0. So there's a commonality. And both teams lost to Indianapolis in Indy, both times that happened in October. I think one of the most important things to remember about this Super Bowl is that it's going to be about experience. Denver has a lot of players with Super Bowl experience. I mean, heck, Wes Welker's been in a couple. Peyton Manning is playing in his 3rd. He's 1-1 so far. And John Fox is coaching in his second Super Bowl. The last one he coached was with Carolina when they appeared 10 years ago. And of course, New England won that game in the last couple of seconds out in Houston, Super Bowl 38. So you know John Fox is the former Giant assistant, is looking to get his first crown. Now, Seattle, I said in my podcast, didn't have anyone with Super Bowl experience. Well, I have to make a little clarification. Seattle only has one player on their roster with Super Bowl experience. I don't know his name. All I know is that he is a backup wide receiver. Another thing to be careful of, Seattle does have the number 1 ranked defense in the NFL, but looking at their regular season schedule, they have only played one team of the 16 all year which had a top 10 offense, and that offense was New Orleans. Now, of course, Seattle won both times early in December, now, of course, in the divisional playoff. So that may be a misleading number 1 defense for you. Another thing about Seattle, this will also be the first time in 59 days that Seattle will be wearing their quote-unquote road white uniforms. Seattle had been home for the last 4 weeks, so they lost to Arizona, they beat St. Louis, and then beat the Saints and 49ers respectively. Seattle is not the first team to have played 4 straight home games before going to a Super Bowl. Of course, they played the last 2 in the regular.
Will be fine.
We hope so. I knew you were going to charge in. Well, hear my prediction. Oh, that's okay. Hey, you never know what you're going to get in Newark. But consider this. 59 days since Seattle's worn their road whites. The whole reason why they're wearing the road whites is because the AFC team is the home team this year, and that is Denver. Now, Seattle is not the first team to play 4 straight games at home before going to the Super Bowl. This has happened 9 other times in NFL history. Those 9 teams are 3-6. However, since 2000, it's happened 3 times, and those teams are 0-3. Now, the weather, thank God the Poor Farmer's Almanac is wrong, because you know they were for entertainment purposes only. Game time temperature is slated to be around the 40-degree mark. But here's some food for thought. The coldest kickoff in NFL history for a Super Bowl happened just before I was born. Super Bowl VI in New Orleans, when Tulane Stadium was there. Remember, there was no Superdome back then until a few years later. When the Cowboys played the Dolphins in Super Bowl VI, kickoff temperature was 39 degrees. We may be seeing a new Super Bowl record for that before the game even kicks off. Now, this is also Denver-type weather, but in a way, it's also Seattle-type weather. The only difference is, instead of being surrounded by the 12th man, they're going to be surrounded by Wall Street bigwigs and other corporate fans. So this is going to be very interesting to see. I really think this is going to be a very entertaining game. I think Seattle's special teams does have a leg up on Denver's, but I think Peyton Manning is the biggest wild card in this game, and I can just really see this being a very entertaining Super Bowl. I think it's going to be close throughout, but given what I've seen the last couple of weeks, and given that the legacy factor is going to be major for Peyton Manning, my Super Bowl prediction, folks, Denver 34, Seattle 23. And I came up with the 23 because Seattle scored 23 beating the Saints, and Seattle scored 23 beating the San Francisco 49ers. I guarantee you, though, Seattle will play a much more spirited game than the one that they were screwed in 8 years ago against Pittsburgh. But as far as the MVP is concerned, it's too close to call. Whenever an MVP is too close to call, it always goes to the winning quarterback by default. So I feel Peyton Manning, by default, will get the MVP, just like Eli did by default a couple years ago. So Peyton and Eli will both have 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Peyton, though, will have his 5th league MVP for the regular season when the awards are given out soon enough. So there's my pick, folks. Denver 34, Seattle 23. My Super Bowl 48 prediction here from the basement of Baggage Claim Terminal C here at Newark Airport.